Science!
Welcome to Science This Week. This week we've got some news from space. A new interstellar comet has been discovered, or we're at least 99% sure that it's a comet and that it's interstellar. The object, designated C2019Q4, was discovered on August 30th, 2019 by Gennady Borisov at the Margot Observatory in Crimea. Now, this new comet is still inbound towards the sun, but it will remain farther than the orbit of Mars and will approach no closer to Earth than about 190 million miles. David Farnocchia of NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies at JPL said the comet's current velocity is high, about 93,000 miles per hour, which is well above the typical velocities of objects orbiting the sun at that distance. The high velocity indicates not only that the object likely originated from outside our solar system, but also that it will leave and head back to interstellar space. Now, why this is so surprising and startling is because we finally have the technology to even look for this kind of stuff. Probably since the dawn of man, the dawn of human history, interstellar objects have been, flying in and out of our solar system. We just haven't been able to track them or even know about them until very, very recently. Karen Meach, the astronomer at the University of Hawaii, who actually made critical observations on the first interstellar object, Oumuamua, she said this one is spectacular compared to the first one, where we had effectively only a week to observe it. So you had to write your proposals, observe it, get the observations down, reduce the data, and we managed to pull all of that together for a paper in about a week. But this one, we have the luxury of lots of time. Many of the scientists' favorite instruments aren't even physically capable of seeing this brand new object. Basically because it's coming in at our solar system at the sun. So Meach went on to say, with small telescopes, you can point as close to the horizon as you wish. And so anyone that has that sort of telescope can easily observe it now. The really big telescopes that you would want to use to do the science have pretty significant limits to how close to the horizon they point. So many of the big ones can't get to it until mid to late October. Now, to break that down, telescopes in the northern hemisphere will be able to study this new comet until about January, when southern hemisphere telescopes will take over the task. By October 2020, it's been calculated that it will be nearly impossible to spot, speeding past the sun on its way to visit probably a new world and a new solar system. But now that they have this comet and they know that this comet exists, they can watch for about a year. So scientists are thrilled. That's way much more data than a week. And if you remember when Oumuamua, the interstellar object, the cigar-shaped, elongated, strange object from another world, came into our solar system, and we only had a week really to discern it, originally was thought to be a comet. And then it was kind of having an identity crisis, which was kind of interesting. That part is because they couldn't see any gas or dust that they could study to understand what the object was made of. The new interstellar comet, this new one, is cocooned in basically space gunk that these telescopes can analyze. Their results will tell scientists whether the comet's home solar system matches ours in terms of whether the proportion of different chemicals follows the same basic recipe. So if this comet's recipe is different than our own solar systems, this could be a very important scientific discovery. This could be giving us insight into what might be out there beyond our backyard, beyond our solar system. So it's not only exciting that we have another interstellar object to study and for a much longer period of time, but this could yield results about the universe that we can't even fathom at this point. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to get from this? It's really exciting that we just discovered it, and we have a year to really gain as much data and knowledge as we possibly can about this really interesting visitor from another world. Back here on Earth, NASA took home 2 Creative Arts Emmys for their work chronicling some of their missions. In fact, both of them we talked about on this very science segment, so I thought it was cool to kind of bookend that and congratulate NASA on their 2 Emmys. NASA's efforts to engage a broader audience in exploration through the use of social media and online features was recognized just the last week by the Creative Emmy Awards for interactive programming. During the ceremonies, the Academy of Television and Arts and Sciences recognized NASA for its coverage of a Mars mission and the agency's first test of a spacecraft that will bring crewed launches to the International Space Station and back to the U.S. NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine tweeted, "Congrats to all involved and those who helped tell the NASA story every day." So the first Emmy they won was for NASA and SpaceX. On September 14th, a team from NASA's Kennedy Space Center and SpaceX won that of the category of Outstanding Interactive Program for Multimedia Coverage of Demonstration Mission 1, a test flight of the SpaceX Crew Dragon to the International Space Station, the first human-rated spacecraft to lift off from U.S. soil since the end of the Space Shuttle program in 2011. And we covered that right on this segment. It was when they sent up the plush Earth that came up to the astronauts at the International Space Station. It was really cool. Demonstration Mission 1 was made possible by NASA's Commercial Crew Program, which is paving the way for commercial transport of astronauts to the space station, while the agency looks forward to deep space missions to the moon and to Mars. The nomination was a result of years of preparation for the historic launch and multiple live broadcasts from NASA and SpaceX facilities across the country during each phase of the Crew Dragon's mission to the International Space Station and its stunning return to Earth. Throughout NASA's coverage, the agency and SpaceX engaged social media users around the world and at a local social media influencer gatherings at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And I got to be a part of just such a social media gathering when our coffee was sent up to space last year. And I have basically a sizzle reel from NASA and JPL about this historic first mission and how it led to an Emmy win.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition, liftoff.
This wasn't just one moment. It was a spark, signaling a new era of human achievement was dawning. Millions were transfixed as the Crew Dragon rose and lit up the night sky, a spacecraft designed for humans by a commercial company and destined for the International Space Station, a sight not seen on U.S. shores since the wheels stopped on the iconic Space Shuttle program. And every step of this journey was shared around the world, thanks to an unprecedented partnership between NASA and SpaceX. Years of planning went into our interactive coverage of this historic launch, known as Demo 1. From traditional outlets like NASA TV, NASA.gov, and SpaceX.com, to social media giants like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and even to unique targeted content, such as NASA's Rocket Ranch podcast. The story of Demo 1 was immersive, informative, and interactive. NASA and SpaceX's simulcast of the Demo 1 mission garnered millions of views on YouTube, NASA TV, and other broadcasting and social media platforms, the largest audience for a launch in the past 3 years. More than 100 social media influencers from across the country were invited by NASA to enjoy and share with the world an unmatched experience, seeing a rocket launch live and in person. They came to Florida and saw a behind-the-scenes tour of NASA's iconic Kennedy Space Center, engaged their followers by asking NASA and SpaceX experts questions received from their own social media followers, and felt the amazing moment when the Falcon 9 lifted off from Pad 39A, the very same pad that launched Apollo 11 to the moon.
We have a liftoff on Apollo 11.
8 of the top 10 most engaging social media posts happened during coverage of the spacecraft's docking with the International Space Station. And throughout it all, we interacted with our audience by answering questions they submitted by using the hashtag AskNASA during the broadcast. We also crafted a behind-the-scenes storyline, an introduction to Ripley, the anthropomorphic test device giving a first-hand look into what humans would experience for their ride to space.
Call capture confirmed. On behalf of Ripley, Little Earth, myself, and our crew, welcome to the Crew Dragon.
The Demo 1 mission coverage was a triumph, proving we are on the path to returning human spaceflight to the U.S.
And there we have confirmation of splashdown.
Thank you so much for your consideration.
So cool. And the second award that NASA got was for NASA's JPL Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, winning the Outstanding Original Interactive Program for coverage of NASA's InSight mission to Mars. And InSight is the lander that just landed on Mars and is now collecting some of the most cutting-edge scientific data we've ever been able to gain from the red planet, which is really cool. InSight is the first mission to study the deep interior of Mars using an ultra-sensitive seismometer, a heat flow probe, and other instruments. InSight is managed by NASA by JPL, and they actually, this isn't the first time they won an Emmy. They won the 2018 Emmy Award of the same name, Outstanding Original Interactive Programming, for Cassini's grand finale mission as it burned up in the atmosphere of Saturn. But again, here is a fun little sizzle reel for the Emmy consideration of the InSight mission to Mars.
This is how NASA brought the world along on a robot's journey to the heart of Mars. The InSight spacecraft was dispatched to study deeper into the red planet than ever before. After 7 months in space, the landing was broadcast on NASA's OTT platform. The programming was complemented with a live interactive 360 video, giving viewers a front row seat inside mission control, experiencing the anxiety, hope, and
Touchdown confirmed.
finally, elation of a successful Mars landing. Excited fans joined 1 million live viewers on streaming platforms and were further empowered to tell their own stories via an interactive press kit on the InSight website, where prior to launch, 2.4 million fans signed up to have their names inscribed on silicon chips attached to InSight, where they will remain on Mars forever. Celebrations shared from around the world were integrated into the live show as the Mars landing hashtag trended #1 worldwide, beating out hashtag Cyber Monday on Cyber Monday, while InSight found her voice on Twitter. And the account rocketed to over 500,000 followers in 2 days. Next, NASA's Mars team, including top scientists and engineers, toured museums, libraries, and observatories, where audiences stepped into Martian environments via HoloLens. And kids and adults created Marsquakes with a fun, interactive jump station. During NASA's social in-person events, diverse groups of creators learned from the InSight mission team face-to-face. Among the attendees, an influential cartoonist, a hip-hop dancer, an award-winning musician, and an NBA All-Star shared stories on platforms of their choosing. We further deepen the connection to a mobile world with Experience InSight, an immersive app for all devices and desktop, where users explored the spacecraft, deployed science instruments, and got a look at Mars from a robot's point of view. People didn't just find InSight in the App Store, but brought the human story with them as well, with the On a Mission podcast. In the end, our dreams of future human exploration ride within the lore of these missions. And by connecting story with the immersive and interactive, we become part of them. NASA thanks you for your consideration. Our journeys are yours.
So congratulations to NASA and JPL and everybody involved for not only creating some of the coolest and best and most interesting space exploration missions that we've seen in the last few years, but winning awards for their coverage of it and their interactiveness of it. I've said it before, I feel that we are in a golden age of science and space exploration where all generations are enamored by it again, and we're all looking to the stars and excited for new possibilities and new missions and new discoveries, and it's just really cool. You can, like I said, you walk down the street and every other person you see is sporting a NASA pin or a NASA hat or something, or a NASA t-shirt, and it's really cool that we're all excited about space once again.